exporters of petroleum products in urging its members to maintain the regulated price. Okoronkwo disclosed that the federal government has released enough fuel from their depot, which enabled them to maintain the status quo and have started negotiations with Beham Group to recover money owed to them for the supply of petroleum products. And away from there now, the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics has disclosed that primary cooking fuels, kerosene and liquefied petroleum gas, otherwise referred to as cooking gas, recorded an 88% price increase within 1 year. According to the report on National Household Kerosene Price Watch, the price of kerosene went up by 86.94% in 1 year. The report also revealed that the average retail price per litre of household kerosene paid by consumers in May 2022 increased by 15.21% on a month-on-month basis from 589 naira 82 kobo in April 2022 to 679 naira 50 kobo in May. The state profile analysis disclosed that the highest average price per litre in May 2022 was recorded in Enugu with 860 naira 75 kobo, followed by Ebonyi with 861 naira 11 kobo, Imo with 801 naira 67 kobo. And while the lowest price was recorded in Bayelsa with 558 naira, followed by Yobe with over 600 naira and Nasarawa with 603 naira 33 kobo respectively. And in the meantime, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, has stated in its latest report that global manufacturing production registered a yearly output growth of 4.2% in the first quarter of 2022. Interestingly, the World Manufacturing Production Quarter 2022 report presented observed growth rates and estimates of the manufacturing production for the first quarter of 2022, as well as revised estimate for the fourth quarter of last year. It noted that the distribution of raw materials and products in global supply chains in motor vehicle production continue to pose a major logistical threat. In addition, that the list of products from the Russian Federation facing import bans expanded due to the ongoing military offensive in Ukraine. And UNIDO also said limited data on Africa indicated a year-over-year growth of 4.2%, with Nigeria and South Africa, two of the largest manufacturers on the continent, showing stable growth rates of 4.9% and 0.8% respectively. And now the Central Bank of Nigeria has disclosed that its national schooling abroad will not pay more overseas tuition fees from January 2023 as speculated by a foreign tertiary institution. In a statement, the AFS Bank faulted reports suggesting that the payment of overseas school fees will increase due to the withdrawal of the Form A discounted rate with effect from December 31. The bank's position followed reports which quoted a tertiary institution in the United Kingdom as claiming that Nigeria has withdrawn the central bank Form A discounted rate to encourage more funds to remain within the economy. Well, and that's it with some of the trending stories at this time. Still to come after the break, Nigeria faces tough time ahead as cost of energy continues to impact on the country's economic activities. Well, that's our focus next when we return shortly. Please stay with us. This is Business Breakfast. Glad you can join us again. The World Bank has listed Nigeria among countries to be negatively impacted by soaring global energy prices due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. According to National Bureau of Statistics, average retail price of automotive gas oil, otherwise known as diesel, increased by 181% from 238.82. That is 238 naira 82 kobo in May 2021 to 671 naira 8 kobo in May 2022. Also, the prices of gas and kerosene have gone up by 88% in 12 months, according to NBS. Recall energy prices soared in the third quarter of last year and are expected to remain elevated in 2022, adding to global inflationary pressures and potentially curbing growth in energy importing countries, including Nigeria, according to the World Bank data. All right, let's look at the impact of the rising cost of energy on Nigeria economy and ways to reduce the debilitating effect on the populace. All right, let's bring in our guest now. Mr. Balazaka is petroleum engineer, chartered accountant. He joins us via the telephone. Thank you for your time, sir. We appreciate you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. Give us an overview of the consequences of the cost of energy and the fact that, yes, some people say it's a global issue, but particularly as it relates to Nigeria, what are your thoughts on the rising cost of energy?
Thank you very much, sir, for that excellent question and how you try to intelligently segment and differentiate it. Some people are saying it's a global issue, but we need to look at it in the context of Nigeria. In the context of Nigeria, that aspect of global issue is completely wrong. In the context of Nigeria, it is due to lack of planning. It is due to lack of planning and having visionary leaders that were supposed to be visionary and futuristic in their thinking. So let me explain the general concern when there is energy crisis like this, regardless of whether it's Nigeria or the global community. Whenever you have energy crisis, the first thing that will happen is the usual aggregate mobility of activities that will lead to the growth of gross domestic products or GDPs of different economies will collapse, especially the economies that are vulnerable. The reason is because when you talk about growth, whether global growth or national growth, the first thing you look at is security. Because once you have security, that means people, investors can invest. Investors' investment will save. People can commute. And in the process of commuting, you expend energy, you grow your GDP because corporate and individual citizens will be contributing by making sure they comply with their civic responsibilities of taxes and levies. But in the context of Nigeria now, it is not because of the global crisis that we are having problems now. We are having problems because we refuse to plan. And I will tell you, when you look at the global, the Ukraine-Russian crisis, which a lot of people believe is the principal cause of this tectonic global concern. I agree. Because when you talk about OPEC is a special cartel for crude oil. OPEC is led by Saudi Arabia. When you go to non-OPEC members, the non-OPEC members are being led by Russia. And that means Russia has good volume of crude oil. The only gas exporting countries with headquarters in Doha, Qatar. Russia is also a very strong member of gas exporting countries forum. So let us discuss Nigeria now. And this is why I said in the case of Nigeria, it's lack of visionary leaders or lack of good advisors for our leaders. The reason why I'm saying so is because as these crises are lingering now, energy crisis, all the oil producing nations are smiling. They are dancing, they are celebrating. Oil and gas producing nations that have refineries are dancing and smiling. The only countries that may not necessarily be smiling may be countries that are oil producing, but because of their size or industrial activities, they do not have enough crude oil and natural gas to process within their country to provide them energy. But in the case of Nigeria,
yes,
looking at our endowment of crude oil and gas, we are supposed to be dancing and celebrating. But because of short-sightedness, we refuse to put gas infrastructures in place. And now we are paying for it. Because of lack of foresight, because of role models, we refuse to fix our refineries.
Okay.
And that is why I said, yes, there is global energy concern. But in the case of Nigeria, it's due to having visionless economic leaders or wrong advisors that have led our leaders into the economic lagoon.
Okay, so but with the way it is, I mean, the implications are on us, no doubt about that. But how do you think Nigerian government is responding to the implications that this will bring upon the economy? I mean, how well is the government handling it? Are there alternatives?
Because what is happening is across the strata of the globe, especially for countries that do not have sufficient crude oil or natural gas endowments. I will want to, in this context now, suggest or tell the government anything they can do to bring succor, they should do that. But I want them to also understand that it was because of lack of planning. Because if we have been proactive, we wouldn't have been caught in the web. Maybe some of our economic leaders and political leaders may be surprised by being caught. But for me, I'm not surprised. Because I knew that the last time we constructed a refinery was like 32 years ago. So I didn't need anybody to tell me that we will run into energy crisis. Even if we haven't had a tectonic movement as a result, a distortion as a result of the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Because you're talking about 32 years. You didn't take care of the refineries you inherited. You didn't construct new ones. Even when we went into democracy from 1999 to now, you are talking about 23 years. Even if it means constructing one refinery in a year, we will have had like 2 refineries. And just imagine with this energy crisis, just imagine if we were those supplying refined petroleum products in West African sub-region. To even the continent of Africa, because that is what other countries that have crude oil and gas are doing. But in this case now, because we are in difficulties, I would want to be in solidarity with the government to do anything humanly possible to cushion the economic pains of the citizens. But
now, let me quickly come in. Just a moment.
We are the architects of our calamities.
I mean, Nigeria spent about 4.56 trillion around the importation of premium motor spirit between last year and now. That's about 128% higher than what was spent on diesel in 2020. Now, you talked about the fact that we have not built a refinery in the last 32 years.
32 years.
And the government, I understand that the government has also talked about the fact that these other refineries have to be rehabilitated. Now, what are the options here? To build a new one, to refine, locally, and then, of course, to continue to import. So how do we, because the consequences are here. If we are to look at the long term, of course, you can say, okay, you want to build a refinery and that will address it. But within the immediate term, what can be done? Should we continue to import? What can be done, or rehabilitate the ones that we have?
Well, thank you for those excellent questions, sir. Because we have been caught unaware. For those who have not been watching, not people like me, What the government needs to do, they have no option than to keep importing now, whatever it will cost. Because the reason why they need to import now is because if they don't do, there will be energy crisis. Can't you see what is happening to the national grid? Is there electricity? The national grid has collapsed countless number of times.
Okay.
This is why when people are saying remove subsidies and build infrastructure, I said the first thing you need after security is energy. Can you go and build hospitals and there is no energy or electricity to run the hospitals? How can you carry out your operations and other activities? If you don't have energy, will you go and construct schools or establish schools? What will you be using in the lab? If you don't have energy, even if you float companies, fertilizer plant, chemical plant, and factories, what will you use to drive them? So I feel very, very surprised and disturbed when I hear some people saying, if you remove subsidy on petrol, you use it to put infrastructures. Petrol is energy. If you remove it, what infrastructure? Will you want to build school? Will you want to build hospital? Will you want to build sports stadium? If there is no energy to run those places, what will be the use of those infrastructures? People.
Hello, Mr. Balazaka. I guess we lost connection with Balazaka. We'll definitely reconnect back to him and probably continue on this conversation. But of course, we're looking at the energy, the cost of energy and impact of that development on Nigeria's economy. So we'll take a moment now. When we come back, of course, the conversations continue. So we'll be back in a moment. Please stay with us.
Are you a business owner looking for the right exposure to attract massive clients to your brand? The long search is definitely over. SME Hub allows you to showcase your products and services to a wide range of viewers and buyers nationwide. For further inquiries, please call Alero on 081-323-43262 or you can send an email to alero.obudere@IBrandTV.com. Grow your brand and boost your business on SME Hub, live on IBrandTV, where business comes first.
The future of cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies continue to draw a lot of attention from investors, entrepreneurs, regulators, and the general public. Many recent public discussions of cryptocurrencies have been triggered by the substantial changes in their prices, claims that the market for cryptocurrencies is a bubble without any fundamental value, and also concerns about evasion of regulatory and legal oversight. These concerns have led to calls for increased regulation or even a total ban. Further debates concern inter alia, the classification of cryptocurrencies as commodities, money, or something else, the potential development of cryptocurrency derivatives and of credit contracts in cryptocurrency, the use of initial coin offerings (ICO), employing cryptocurrency technology to finance startup initiatives, and the issue of digital currencies by central banks employing cryptocurrency technologies. Market size and opportunities. The total market capitalization of the 100 largest cryptocurrencies is reported to exceed the equivalent of 330 billion euros globally by early 2018. The total market capitalization of all cryptocurrencies together in that period peaked at an even higher $728 billion, dropping just 3 weeks later to approximately $360 billion. In any event, there are compelling reasons why cryptocurrencies should be under more scrutiny by regulators and supervisors. The threat of price volatility, speculative trading, hack attacks, money laundering, and terrorist financing all call for stricter regulation. cryptocurrency has provided many avenues to financial freedom for many people. As the technology improves, the industry goes from strength to strength. Blockchain technology is now being used to enhance almost every single sector. From gaming to cross-border payments, crypto is now involved. Whilst Bitcoin and Ethereum cement themselves as the two powerhouses of the crypto world, many new exciting projects aim to aid real-world problems. Analysts estimate that the global cryptocurrency market will more than triple by 2030, hitting a valuation of nearly $5 billion. Whether they want to buy into it or not, investors, businesses, and brands cannot ignore the rising tide of crypto for long. As a matter of fact, the reward system for cryptocurrency creates an incentive to leverage on computing power, increasing the consumption of energy. For example, note that computational efforts of miners are costly, mainly because the proof of work calculations are power intensive, consuming more than 173 megawatts of electricity continuously.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services, and meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
All right, we have Mr. Bala Zakat back on the phone now. Thank you for your time. Yes, let's continue on this conversation and look at, of course, the volume of consumption of premium motor spirit, diesel, and of course gas. These are various products of energy here. And so how do you think we can meet the demand, the daily consumption of all of these commodities, specifically, especially those who use this product to run their businesses on industries? So please talk to us about that.
Okay. Before I do that, let me talk about diesel, kerosene, and aviation fuel. Diesel, kerosene, and aviation fuel have had their prices deregulated, and we have seen the consequences. I'm happy that the government of this country decided to remove subsidy in phases. You can see what has happened because of the removal of subsidy in the price of diesel. So many sectors have collapsed. Even your studio, Banks now close, some banks close at 12 noon, some close at 1 o'clock, some close at 2 o'clock. Strategic industrial sectors, whether commercial or domestic or the other sectors, have all collapsed. And as they are collapsing like this, they are also firing staff. So because they cannot break even, their company income tax will go down this year. And because they are firing staff, they will not be able to contribute. There will be no personal income tax. Because when you fire staff, if there are no people who pay salary, there will be no personal income tax. But let me talk about the volume consumption of PMS also. But before I even say that, on the aviation, you can see what is happening. There are flight cancellations everywhere. They are searching staff and there is mass flight delays. So who let anybody point out one thing? Have we been able to generate money because we removed subsidy in the price of diesel? Let them show how many hospitals we have built. Have they been able to get money from the removal of subsidy in the price of diesel to pay ASU? Have they been able to pay pensioners? So what has been the benefit? Go to kerosene. We were told that we shouldn't cut firewood, because there will be gas. People, our parents and our communities, they stopped cutting firewood. They were hoping to get gas. There is no gas. They cannot afford kerosene. So they have gone back to firewood and are now contributing to global warming. So who is that person that will come out and justifiably tell us one benefit of removal of subsidy in the price of kerosene? There is none. So the only product remaining now is petrol. And they are still insisting. Meanwhile, they cannot point out one thing that they have done with the removal of subsidy in the price of petrol, diesel, and kerosene. And the reason why the volume of consumption of petrol is high now is because something is happening. It's because people cannot afford diesel. And they need to run generators to generate energy. So tell anybody who cares to listen that Zaka Balazaka said, what we need after security is energy, not infrastructures. Because people will say remove subsidy in the price of petrol and get infrastructures. What infrastructures will you put in place if there is no energy? It is energy first before infrastructures.
All right.
And what people are buying is to generate energy for the hairdressers, the barbers, the saloon operators, and so many companies also.
Let's wrap up with this one, Mr. Zaka. Is there an end in sight? I mean, or is the country helpless? There is no help coming the way of Nigeria at the moment. Because it's evident that this will likely continue for a very long time. It's a pre-election year. So can we say there's hope in the coming days? Or is there no hope?
For Nigeria, the only way this short-term measure is to just import. We have no option. And you see, one mistake again people are doing is this. You cannot compare us with countries of 20 million population, 30 million, 50 million. We are a country of 200 million citizens, relying on less than 10,000 megawatts of electricity. So when people are saying you can manage, no. There is no way a country of 200 million citizens will be relying on importation of products. So like you said, we are in pre-election year. What we need to do now, it is a God-given opportunity for us to question the new set of Nigerian leaders. Let us, during their campaign, ask them, what are you planning to do with energy? They should tell us in concrete terms, what are you planning to do with our natural gas? What are you planning to do with our crude oil? What are you planning to do with our refineries? Because this is the right time to ask them those questions. Don't forget that leaders are people that we are going to hand over our economic, social, and political destiny into their hands to manage for us. So they need to answer those questions in national interest.
It's all right. I think we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Always available whenever we call you. Thank you. Bala Zaka is a petroleum engineer and chartered accountant. We appreciate your time on Business Breakfast.
Thank you, and God bless our country. I'm still hopeful.
It's all right. You're watching Business Breakfast. Still to come after the break, state governments to generate and transmit their own electricity as federal government set to decentralize national grid to accommodate more investors with a plan to invest about $550 million. But that's our focus next when we return from this break. Please stay with us.
Unripe plantain flour is 100% natural flour gotten from the processing of unripe plantain. It contains no addictive and has a net content of 500 grams. True unripe plantain flour contains vitamin A, B6 and C. It is gluten-free and rich in calcium. Consuming through unripe plantain flour helps to build and strengthen stronger bones and can be a great meal for diabetic patients. It decreases your chances of constipation as it has a high fiber content and provides you with a low-fat diet. Here are some steps to prepare your true unripe plantain flour. Firstly, mix true unripe plantain flour with hot water in a pot and gradually add water till you achieve desired thickness. Place over medium heat and turn very well for 4 to 5 minutes to get the right texture. Mold into a ball and place in a bowl and allow to cool. Serve with your choice of soup. True unripe plantain flour can be eaten with any variety of soup, be it your ofe oha, ofe onugbu, begiri, ewedu, or your miyan kuka. To get your true unripe plantain flour, contact us at 12 Olowera Isheri Road by First Welder bus stop off Omole Phase 2, Olowera, Lagos, Nigeria, or call 070-6663-8213 or 081-6397-4447. Distributors are needed nationwide.
The photography business is a very competitive industry. Every year, thousands of talented photo lovers consider turning their passion into a money-making business venture. Especially in a fiercely competitive marketplace like Nigeria, in which it is very easy for anyone to buy a digital camera and call themselves a professional photographer. According to some practitioners, a new photographer who wants a standard studio can start with a budget of 3.5 million naira. However, one can start with a lower budget of about 500,000 to 1 million naira depending on the tools and cost of rent. On the average, the cost of photography equipment is around 294,790 naira. However, the price ranges from around 41,000 naira to as high as 2.46 million naira. Nigeria has a population of over 200 million people with a vibrant movie industry that produces 50 movies per week, generating annual revenue of approximately $590 million from between 2016 and 2021, helping the photography industry as a whole, according to a recent research by the UN.
Are you a business owner looking for the right exposure to attract massive clients to your brand? The long search is definitely over. SME Hub allows you to showcase your products and services to a wide range of viewers and buyers nationwide. For further inquiries, please call Alero on 081-323-43262 or you can send an email to alero.obidere@IBrandTV.com. Grow your brand and boost your business on SME Hub, live on IBrandTV, where business comes first.
All right, glad to have you back now. State government will now be allowed to generate and transmit their own electricity, as federal government said to decentralize national grid to accommodate more investors, with a plan to invest about $550 million. According to President Muhammadu Buhari, his administration is moving at improving Nigeria's power supply amid constraints and bottlenecks which have seen multiple incidents of grid failures. He said Nigeria is decentralizing the national grid through renewable-driven mini-grids, and also signed into law the constitutional amendment with a bill which will allow state governments to generate and transmit their own electricity. So we ask what is likely to change and the impact this will have on the sector once the plan is implemented. Barrister Sunday Oduton is the Executive Director, Research and Advocacy of Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors and the official spokesman of all the 11 electricity distribution companies in Nigeria. He joins us virtually. Thank you, Barrister, for your time, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. I mean, you are in the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja, Abuja, operating from there, but I learned you are in Ogun State, Abeokuta now. Yes, you've seen it all in terms of the power issues and, of course, the challenges that the sector is faced. With this decentralization, I mean, being considered at the moment by the Buhari administration, what does this mean, and what change is this bringing to the sector? Let's start from there.
Please, can you come back again? I'm losing you.
Okay.
The line seems to be breaking.
It's all right. So I was saying that, I mean, this decentralization, yes, I can hear you. I was asking you, this decentralization of national grid idea being currently considered by President...
You are talking about decentralization.
Yes. So I was asking you, just give me time to ask. I was asking you what this means for the country and the change is likely to bring into the sector. Given the fact that the sector has faced a lot of challenges with regards to reforms, ideas and initiative on how to address the challenges faced by the sector. Well, I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, so we're just looking at what this decentralization will
I've lost you again. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, so if you heard me earlier, maybe you should continue from there. Go ahead. Hello, Barrister Sunday. I was asking you what this decentralization idea means for the power sector. Well, I think we're having difficulties with the connecting.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, go ahead, please.
So the question I asked is, I didn't hear the first part of what you said about changes that are coming in. What I heard was, what will be the effects? So can you tell me the changes you're talking about, please? Okay.
I mean, the president has, disclosed that his administration is considering decentralizing the national power grid and to allow state government to generate and transmit their own electricity. So I was asking you what this means for the sector and the change is likely to bring into the sector.
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that for us as distribution companies, any action that will bring more electricity to Nigerians will fully support. At the same time, and in the same vein, we also believe in the sanctity of contract. So whatever the government is trying to do, as long as that accommodates the existing contractual relationship that we have with them, oh, why not? But when you talk about the national grid, that is the transmission company of Nigeria, that is 100% owned by the federal government. If they decide to decentralize it or make it regional, I think it would be a good idea. So we will support any reform, any action that will legally make the sector whole. The problem with the sector does not require anybody going to the moon or to any country to study or understudy. We know what the problems and what the issues are. Okay. As long as we can deal with the issue of liquidity, as long as we can deal with the issue of getting the equipment into this country, which of course is linked to the issue of Forex, because if your currency continues to go down against the dollar, it means that it will cost you a lot more money to get things into this country.
Okay, Barrister Sunday, let me quickly come in here if you can hear me. I was going to ask you, you are the spokesperson for the 11 distributors companies under the DISCOs initiative. So you are the spokesperson. What do you think is the most challenging issue facing the sector that you represent?
Number one most challenging issue is the issue of liquidity. As a distributor, we buy electricity to sell to Nigerians. When we buy and we're going to sell to customers, what it means is that if I buy electricity worth of 10 billion, the seller expects me to remit back to him a sum of 10 billion naira. But if I push electricity worth of 10 billion naira into a network, let's say in Abuja, we push that into the network. Let's say today we push 100 million naira worth of electricity this week into FCT, and we're only able to collect 60 million out of 100 million. That's a shortage of 40 million. So when I now send back 60 million to the person who sold the electricity to me, because I'm a distributor, we have the generation companies, the producers. The producers expect to get their money back in full. If I'm not collecting fully from customers due to series of losses caused by energy theft, people bypassing, then the culture of non-payment. What that means is that there's a mismatch in the industry. So put it in a simple way. If I'm distributing bread, if I'm a retailer or distributor of bread, I'm buying from the bakery, maybe on credit. The baker give me 100 loaves of bread. He expects me to sell the whole loaf of bread, and indeed people are waiting to buy bread. But as I sell to them, they stole some of it, they refuse to pay for some of it, and I'm able to go back to the baker with only the price for 60 instead of 100. There's a problem there. So that's why I said the most fundamental issue today is the issue of liquidity. That's one. The second issue, of course, is the issue of sufficiency. If the generation company produces electricity, the transmission company of Nigeria should be able to wield that electricity down to us, the distribution companies. That's what we call the wheeling capacity or wheeling ability to take the energy from the point of production, which is generation point, to the point of distribution. So those are the issues that are going on in the sector. And this is not a new issue. This is something that has been going on for 60 years, well long before privatization in 2010.
Now, when you say the challenge, the most challenging is issue of liquidity. Is it the issue of liquidity for distributors alone? Because we have, of course, as it is, as it's where we have the generating arm, we also have the transmission arm, and we also have the distributorship arm as well, where your association represents. So are you saying that it is exclusive to these three, or it cuts across these three group that are players in the company? Because the government seems to have the money. They are the owner of the TCN, that's the Transmission Company of Nigeria. They have the wherewithal. They have the resources as well. So where does the issue of liquidity come in?
I don't think so. When you say the government have the wherewithal, you may need to find out that from the Federal Minister of Power. what I can tell you for free is that even government ministries, departments, and agencies owe us a lot of money, billions of naira in unpaid bills. You know, I was talking earlier about if you are selling product to customers.
Because of our time, I want us to address some issues, key issues, before we wrap up this segment with you. As it stands today, one of the most talked about when it comes to challenges the power sector faces is the issue of lack of electricity supply, that an average Nigerian does not have enough, okay, in terms of consumption. When he wants to iron his shirt or power his generator or power his business, the little business by the corner, he doesn't have enough. I mean, I needed to speak to that. Where exactly does the problem, lie in addressing these? Because if you say it's an issue of liquidity, yes, okay, but again, on the other side, we don't have enough for consumption.
Well, you cannot both work together. The problem lies with the inability of Nigeria to produce electricity in line with the increasing population. As your population goes up, so should your production of electricity go up. A country of 200 million people, 200 million people, still producing on average of between 4 to 5,000 megawatts. There's no way you can have enough. Today, Nigeria needs a minimum of 30,000 megawatts. Even that 30,000 megawatts is only for areas where they have poles. If you go to villages, urban area or desert or area of Nigeria, villages where there are no poles, those ones, if you have to give everybody electricity in this country, then you're talking of something in excess of 80,000 megawatts. But if you can get 30,000 megawatts, then most people in Nigeria will have light for 24 hours every day.
That may seem, let me come in here, Mr. Barrister. That may seem a big order, a big dream for the country at the moment, because the country has about 12,000 megawatts in stock capacity. I mean, why not begin to talk about, why don't you think we need to talk about addressing that part of the challenge? That's one. Then two, this decentralization idea, where does your association stand, and what role do you intend to play in ensuring? Because, of course, the state government are going to be generating their own electricity and transmit same as well. Where do you come in here?
Well, there are extant laws since 2005 which govern this industry. The power sector is regulated by law, and we have a regulator in place. I know that when the time comes, if such things are going to happen, we will all sit down around the table. Remember that we have 11 electricity distribution companies all over the country. So every state you go, there is always a disco there to talk to have contact with, to discuss with, and have something that you can work out. In Lagos State alone, we have 2 discos, Ikeja Electric and Eko Disco. So it's not a problem at all. We do not have any problem with that. As long as there is clarity, as long as there is a legal framework that will govern anything we want to do, I think it shouldn't be a problem. Where there will be a problem is if I'm the one in charge of my father's house, and out of the 10 rooms in my father's house, I'm able to get tenant for only 4 rooms, which means there are 6 vacant rooms in my father's house in that compound. If a stranger comes to occupy any of those vacant rooms without talking to me, I'm sure you agree with me that there will be a problem.
Okay.
So that's the only thing. But I can assure you that the federal government, the state government, all stakeholders are very sensible people, and they will do what is best for the country, for the Nigerians. So I don't see any problem with that. Let us start first by increasing generation, the one that we have. But when you talk about installed capacity, my friend, installed capacity is different from what you actually can push out. Go and find out how much of the 11,000 or 12,000 can be generated today. And if they do, can the transmission be able to win it? The answer is no, they cannot. So let's deal with how you can get the transmission company of Nigeria to work, to be able to will power to the distributors. And I'm not saying that only transmission problem, transmission TCN is the only problem. They are the major problem. But the discos are a problem too. The Gencos are a problem too. For the discos, we are not efficient enough. Okay. A lot of things
because of our time. So, yes, because of our time. Let's wrap it up with this and maybe 30 seconds. Do you think the challenge facing the power sector is political?
Well, because I'm not a politician, it's difficult for me to say whether it's political. I think it's both political, financial, and the inability of Nigerian leaders to take the bull by the horn. Okay. Because you cannot be selling electricity to people.
Okay. I think we'll just have to wrap it up because of our time. Barrister Sunday Odutan is the Executive Director, Research and Advocacy, is also the spokesperson of Nigerian Electricity Distributors. Thank you so much for your time, Barrister Sunday Odutan. That's all right. Thank you for your time. We're still watching Business Breakfast. Let's take a look at some global oil market now as we look at some of the stories trending in that part of the program or the content here. So oil prices continue to pull back Thursday, dropping more than 2% as investors recalibrated assessment of recession risk and view demand amid interest rate hikes in major economies. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures had skidded 2.6% or $2.60 or about 2.7% to $103.46 a barrel in early trade. Brent crude futures slid $2.05 or about 2.3% to $109.22 a barrel. Both benchmarks tumbled by as much as a $3 a barrel in the early trade of Asian trading after plunging around 3% in the previous session. They're at their lowest level since mid-May as investors are continuing to assess how worried they need to be about central banks potentially pushing the world economy into recession as they attempt to curb inflation with interest rate increases. According to analysts, oil markets remain under pressure as investors were concerned that U.S. rate hikes would stall an economic recovery and dampen fuel demands. And on the global oil, stock market now, Treasuries held a rally and oil slid Thursday as investors passed the economic outlook after Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell acknowledged the risk of a recession. An Asian share index was steady with a report that Hong Kong's incoming leader John Lee is working on a strategy to reopen the city's borders, helping sentiment. While US and European futures were in the red, Treasuries had jumped in the Wall Street section and policy-sensitive two-year yields hovered at around 3.06%. Oil dropped as much as 3.6% to around $103 barrels, sapped by fears over the demand outlook. Powell, in testimony to the Senate Wednesday, said the U.S. has to get in high inflation back down to a 2% target. He accepted that steep rate increases could cause an economic contraction and called its soft landing very challenging. Well, of course, that's a wrap on the program. That's how much we can go today on the program. We keep our eye in the stock market, of course, doing about 0.06%. We hope and hopefully the market, domestic market here ends in the green at the end of the day. That's all up today on Business Breakfast. Many thanks for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Frank Kumalape. I'll see you again.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Professional dry cleaners. Best in dry cleaning and laundry services and meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery. Ooh.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Oh boy, winning you was so easy.
I just couldn't stand those your powerful shots. That's what happened.
Really? Let's go to my place for dinner.
This fufu is so nice.
It's true unripe plantain flour.
True unripe plantain flour is delicious.
Yes, true unripe plantain flour is what I serve my husband for swallows. It's easy to prepare, fortified with vitamin A, low